What's poppin'? Welcome back to the station. Welcome back to the channel. Y'all know who it is, your boy Ray G. You can find me on X at RayGQue. This show today is going to be something different, something unique, something that I have not seen in the mock draft space, at least through this cycle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at Field Yates' Round 1 2025 mock that dropped yesterday over on ESPN, and we are going to complete Round 2 based on the picks and the selections that he made in Round 1. I don't want to hear my team wouldn't do this, they would never do it. The point of the exercise is your team did do it. They did something that you didn't expect. They did something that you didn't think would happen. But now what would they potentially do in Round 2 if the first round were to play out this way? So we're going to look at Fields' mock in conjunction with completing a second round mock based off of his picks. So if you stick around to the end of this video and you find the information in the exercise actionable and or entertaining, help a young content creator grow, man, hit that thumbs up button, like the content, and subscribe to the channel. It's all draft stuff all the time. That's what we're pumping out. Just show some love, show some support. Let's get into this mock. Field Yates, what did he do and what are we going to do? So here we go. You can see right here, I've got everything loaded up from what Field did in his mock. He went Travis Hunter, number 1 overall to the Tennessee Titans. At 2, he went Abdul Carter to the Cleveland Browns. So right here at the top of the second round, Cleveland is on the clock. Positions of need: quarterback, running back, tackle, and cornerback. This mock, they went Abdul Carter. Field Yates' explanation is they're going to invest in the quarterback position through free agency or later in this draft. No Jackson Dart is on the board. So right here, best player available, in my opinion, still on the board, was not selected in Round 1. Jahdae Barron, the cornerback out of the University of Texas, is still on the board. It is a position of need for Cleveland. We talked about Travis Hunter potentially going there. I'm not passing up on this versatile defensive back. Cleveland gets a stud right here. They go defense to start this new iteration of the Cleveland Browns team. Abdul Carter, Jahdae Barron, nice start for the Cleveland Browns. Now, at pick 2, the New York Giants are on the clock, and per Field Yates, in Round 1, they went Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami. So they addressed the quarterback position in Round 1. I've seen Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, everybody going to New England, but they went with their quarterback, Cam Ward, so you could scratch that position of need off. Tackle, defensive back, still positions of need. They took Tyler Nubin and Andrew Phillips, who were good last year. But Benjamin Morrison, I want to stick with the cornerback position because there's a lot of value here with Morrison, Trey Amos, and Siobhan Revel, Azariah Thomas as well. You got Ben Morrison, the corner out of Notre Dame, 16th overall, according to PFF. I'm not comfortable and confident yet with the knee. So, Azariah Thomas, a big riser post-Senior Bowl. You see him in Round 1 of multiple mocks from some of the big-name analysts. I think he's going to rise even more after the Combine. Give me that Florida State dog. Azariah Thomas going to New York to help solidify that defense, like what the Giants are doing. Azariah Thomas out of Florida State goes to New York. Now, Tennessee's on the clock at pick 35, and we know that what they did in Round 1, according to Field, was they took Travis Hunter. Says the Titans made it clear they won't force a quarterback at 1 if they don't deem one of the passers worthy of the pick. So there's a lot of smoke, a lot of rumors about different quarterbacks going to the Giants. I'm not hearing a lot of smoke about quarterbacks going to Tennessee, but there still isn't a guy that I feel comfortable taking right here for the Titans at the top of the second round. You look at the quarterbacks, again, no Jackson Dart, it's Milroe, it's Will Howard, it's Quinn Ewers. I'm not taking any of those guys right here. So we flip the script, and maybe offensive line, cornerback, edge rusher. Let's check out the edge rushers available. You got Jack Sawyer, Donovan Ezaraku out of Boston College. I think this would be a phenomenal pick for Tennessee if they need somebody on that defensive front to get after C.J. Stroud, to pressure Anthony Richardson, Trevor Lawrence. I think Jack Sawyer or Ezaraku can get that done. I think Donovan is a little better off of the edge, a little more bendy than Sawyer, so that's what we're going to do right here. The top of the second round, Donovan Ezaraku, edge out of Boston College. The Jags are on the clock at pick 36, and let's just see what they did. They went Mason Graham in Round 1. So again, Field Yates, Jacksonville on the clock at pick 5. They took defensive tackle Mason Graham. We look at their needs: center, guard, interior D-line. They addressed that, and cornerback opposite Tyson Campbell. And I do think this would be a spot where the value is just too good to pass up on. So Benjamin Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame, goes to Jacksonville to help solidify that defensive secondary. The Raiders are on the clock at 37. And what did they do in Round 1? Shedeur Sanders. And just so y'all know, I ain't BSing you. Here it is. Field Yates has Shedeur Sanders here, fit with Pete Carroll. Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, they couldn't hold the job, so they upgrade their quarterback position and take Shedeur Sanders. Now, this is a good spot. I'm looking at the board, and the Raiders can go a ton of different positions. I love the running back group, and there are plenty of running backs available, but with Matthew Golden still available, you're talking about pairing up your young quarterback with a young wide receiver. You've got Jacoby Myers, you have Brock Bowers. Let's add another receiver to the fold for Shedeur Sanders. Matthew Golden, 24th overall, ADP right around 24. That's who is going to Las Vegas. Shedeur gets an upgraded weapon. Matthew Golden out of Texas lands in Las Vegas. The Pats are on the clock. Patriots are on the clock. And who did they take round one? Will Campbell. They went protection for Drake May. And let's just see what Field Yates said. Mason Graham wouldn't be a bad fit. Invest in the offensive line to support Drake May should take top priority. They did that with, I believe, the best offensive lineman in this class. So what do they do now to help him out? Receiver, it would have been nice for Matthew Golden to fall. You've got Elick Ayo-Manor still available. Jack Besh, a little too early for him. So I'm going to pivot to the tight end position where I believe Elijah Arroyo, post-combine, some people think he will be the fastest tight end there, clocked it in over 21.8 miles per hour on the season this year. Big tight end. History of tight ends from Miami are dope. And the New England Patriots, I talked about it in my last mock. I would love for them to trade back and land Tyler Warren. Get Drake May his version of Rob Gronkowski. I'm not saying Tyler Warren is that, but get him a dynamic tight end that can learn from Hunter Henry, who's still got 1 year left on his deal, but they can get out after this season. Right here in the second round, looking at the receivers available versus the tight ends available, I would prefer the tight end Elijah Arroyo out of Miami. So that's what we're going to do. Get Drake May a dynamic pass-catching option at the tight end position. There's no Austin Hooper there. You've got Hunter Henry, Elijah Arroyo. I like that two tight end set. You got the veteran and the young explosive rookie going to New England. The Bears are on the clock at pick 39. And what the hell did Chicago do in round one? Field Yates said they're going Kelvin Banks, offensive tackle out of Texas to protect Caleb Williams. So let's see what else we can do. Positions of need. They addressed offensive line, running back, and edge. And I do think with Ben Johnson in the building, they need an explosive playmaker at the running back position. You've got Omarion Hampton, you've got Caleb Johnson, and you have Travion Henderson right here as well. I want the explosive playmaker. I feel like I can get in this draft a couple of different versions of David Montgomery. If you're looking at that combination, that thunder and lightning that Ben Johnson had, I can get a couple iterations of David Montgomery. I don't think there are many in this class that bring the explosive home run playmaking ability that Travion Henderson does. So knowing that they still have Roschon on the roster, who can handle some of those between the tackle, grinded out plays. Let's upgrade with Travion Henderson right here. This is a pick that Chicago got from Carolina in the trade, and they take Trey Henderson out of Ohio State here at 39. New Orleans is on the clock at pick 40. What did the Saints do? What did the Saints do in round one? They went Ted McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona. Concussions with Olave, Shaheed coming off of knee injury. Valdez-Scantling is a free agent. So we know that Kellen Moore is now in town. They got to run the ball. They're going to throw the ball. They need receiver. They addressed that early. They need tight end. They need defensive line. This is a spot I too would go right back to the tight end position. And when Kellen Moore had, with Dallas Goedert, he had a reliable option at tight end. When he was in Dallas, there were reliable options between Dalton Schultz and Jake Ferguson early on in Dallas. And I think that's what they try to do here with no Juwan Jennings. There's no tight end of consequence on the roster. Let's keep this kid at home. Mason Taylor, probably one of the most pro-ready tight ends in this class from LSU. You are going to New Orleans. You're a New Orleans Saint. You're going to stay in Louisiana and go play with Kellen Moore in that offense. So they go offense, back-to-back picks. The New Orleans Saints, Mason Taylor at 40. The Bears are back up. They addressed the running back position. They addressed offensive line. Hell, they're going to just take the best edge available. And Jack Sawyer slip and fall. It stops right here. Jack Sawyer, you are going to be a Chicago Bear playing off of the edge in Chicago, and I really like what they've done. Trey Henderson and Jack Sawyer, they just went back-to-back to the Ohio State well, and they got two really good players, two quality players. Jets are on the clock at 42. And what did Field have the Jets doing? They went Mykel Williams out of Georgia. So edge rusher out of Georgia, Mykel Williams. They're probably moving on from Aaron Rodgers. You get a compliment next to Will McDonald. You got Quinn Williams there. So what do the Jets need? It says quarterback, interior defensive line, and defensive back, and that is where I want to go. The defensive back position for the New York Jets. Get somebody opposite to play alongside Sauce Gardner, and if all medicals clear out with Siobhan Revel, just like we talked about Benjamin Morrison, this would be a steal for the Jets to get this kid right here at 42. So Siobhan Revel, come on down. You are a New York Jet at 42. 49ers on the clock at pick 43. What'd they do round one? Josh Simmons, the tackle out of Ohio State at pick 11. I was just talking to some 49ers fans over in our Discord. Join the community, patreon.com/allgas. It's all draft, all fantasy football all the time. They said that they don't believe that they are going to take offensive line in round one, that they prioritized impact players, defensive side of the ball preferably, and they can find offensive linemen in the second, third, fourth, fifth round. I don't have any insider in San Francisco, but that's what I've been told. Unfortunately, they went O-line in round one, but fortunately for them, there are plenty of defensive linemen available here that they can upgrade on. It looks like Javon Hargrave is probably going to be gone. So Talik Williams on the inside, and let's just take a look. I want to see if there are any other defensive linemen. Darius Alexander, you've got Dayon Walker, Alfred Collins, Omar Norman Lott, TJ Sand. This is just an incredible interior and edge class, but Talik Williams would be the priority for me right here. Talik Williams out of Ohio State, really good run defender, and he's active against the pass, like this in San Francisco, plugging up the middle. So Talik Williams, you go to San Francisco, and now the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock at pick 44. What did the Dallas Cowboys do? Per Field Yates, they went Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan. Love it. Love this pick right here. They did not take Ashton Genty, but Diggs is coming off of knee injury, and they're already talking about he might not be 100% to start training camp. Deron Bland, 1 year left. Jordan Lewis is a free agent in March. They have to upgrade the defensive secondary, and I think this would be a home run pick to get Will Johnson at 12, and it opens up the door for them to do a lot of different things here at pick 44. Running back, running back, running back. That is where we're going to go. And for the Dallas Cowboys, if you have not seen my film breakdown on Iowa running back Caleb Johnson, I'll link it right here. He reminds me of former Dallas Cowboys All-Pro running back DeMarco Murray. And a team that does not have a running back of consequence on the roster, I want Caleb Johnson. You're talking about a player, 6 foot, 225 plus pounds. You put him in Dallas, he's a tone setter for the Dallas Cowboys. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Love this. Going Will Johnson and Caleb Johnson. Johnson & Johnson in Dallas. Let's get it. Caleb Johnson, 44 to the Dallas Cowboys. The Colts are on the clock at 45. Tight end, edge, and defensive back. What did the Colts do? Per Field Yates, the common pick. Tyler Warren out of Penn State went to Indianapolis, so tight end is solidified. Defensive back and edge rushers are positions of need for the Indianapolis Colts. Let's go to the corners. Trey Amos available. There's no Maxwell Harrison is off of the board. You got Quincy Riley, a little too early for Riley, but Trey Amos right here feels like a good pick out of Ole Miss for Indianapolis. So they take the cornerback out of Ole Miss, Trey Amos at 45. 46, the Falcons are on the clock, and Field Yates had them taking Mike Green, the edge out of Marshall, in round one. Very good player, had a very nice Senior Bowl, power. We all saw the play against Josh Connerly. They addressed that. Wide receiver, linebacker, and cornerback positions of need for the Atlanta Falcons. People are going to talk about how high do you take a linebacker in the draft. Probably not early in round one, but here in round two, if this is a true position of need, they've addressed the edge. We can look at the receivers that are available. Can we upgrade the slot? I think we can do it a little later. We still have Isaiah Bond. There's Trey Harris, Jalen Noel on the board, so we'll wait on that. I don't think we can wait on Demetrius Knight or Carson Schwessinger, I think is his name. We can't wait on either of these guys. Carson was supposed to be in Mobile. I did not get a chance to see him, but I did get a chance to see, talk to, and watch Demetrius Knight fly around. Tone setter, SEC linebacker. If this is a need for the Falcons, Demetrius Knight can play. This would be a good pick, so that's what we're going to do. Demetrius Knight out of South Carolina to the Falcons. Cardinals are on the clock at 47. What did Arizona do? They went edge. Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. They went edge rusher. D-line was a position of need. Now we're looking at the tackle, interior offensive line for the Cardinals. So let's pull that up. Interior O-line. You got Tate Ratledge at the top of the board. Ariante Essery. We've got Jonas Savaiinaea out of Arizona on the board. Probably kicks into the guard position. So do you want the tackle or the guard? I'm going to take Jonah right here at 47 for the Arizona Cardinals. Just keep him in Arizona. Maybe it's a cop-out, but he's a big physical player, probably going to kick inside of that guard spot. Protect Kyler Murray. Got to keep him upright so he can get the damn ball to Trey McBride and hopefully get it to Marvin Harrison this year. Dolphins are on the clock at pick 48. What did Miami do at 13 in this mock? They went guard Tyler Booker. Y'all do not like Tyler Booker. Every time I mock him in round one, people are like, you don't take a guard that high. I don't like Tyler Booker. Dolphins did it. Field said the Dolphins did it. So here at pick 48, guard is a position that they do not need. Tackle, protect two at all costs. D-line, safety. There are some good. Xavier Watts is on the board at safety. Let me see his Nick on the board. Nick Emanwari from South Carolina. Andrew Makuba's on the board. Xavier Watts is, they've addressed offensive line. The D-line class is deep. Let's take Xavier Watts right here from Miami. I know that's a position of need. We've commonly mocked Malachi Starks to this team multiple times. So to get a safety of Xavier Watts' caliber here at 48, I think this is a fine pick for the Miami Dolphins. The Bengals are on the clock, and I believe they took my guy, Walter Nolan. Yes, Walter Nolan, D-tackle out of Ole Miss. They went with him at 17 overall. So now we're on the board. Wide receiver, guard, and D-line, still positions of need. So they went interior D-line. So is there an edge rusher that would make sense for the Bengals that could not replace? He's not going to replace one-for-one Trey Hendrickson, but can they develop an edge on the outside? You got Kyle Kennard, Princely Human-Milan. I wouldn't mind either of those players. Let's go to the wide receiver position to see if there are any receivers that we can upgrade the Bengals with. I gave them Jack Besh, the wide receiver out of TCU, in my latest mock. We're not going to do that here. You've got Elick Eomanor here as well. Dane Brugler had him a little lower in his top 100 yesterday. Check that on the channel if you did not see it. So I think I'm going to stick with the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, I think they'll be okay. We can get a guard later on. But Princely Human-Milan off of the edge, I think that will be the pick right here. So they go Ole Miss. They just stay in Mississippi and upgrade that defensive front. Seattle's on the clock at pick 50. Got to love everything that they were talking about yesterday with Geno Smith and Kenneth Walker. In round one, they took the tackle, Armand Membu from the University of Missouri, O-tackle guard. So they addressed their offensive front. Edge rusher and linebacker position is of need for the Seattle Seahawks. So let's go to edge, see what's available. Let's pull up our linebackers, see what's available. And we have a few on the board that we talked about through some other picks. Nick Scorton's still there. Not your traditional edge on the outside. JTT, Landon Jackson. So we're going to take the best available linebacker right here. Carson Schweschinger right here out of UCLA. So we're going to take Carson at 50 for the Seattle Seahawks, which puts Tampa Bay on the clock at 51. Edge, linebacker, and DB positions of need. What the Bucs do? They went James Pierce, edge rusher out of Tennessee in round one. So let's pivot to the defensive back position. Let's see what corners are available. You got Darian Porter, Kobe Bryant, Zion Alexander, Quincy Riley. Feels a little low. Like I would have Riley quite a bit higher. Noah Williams right here. Linebacker, edge, DB, and then let's just go best player available. He's not an edge. Nick Scorton, I don't think he's going to play on the outside, and I don't believe they need an interior defensive tackle right now. So Landon Jackson out of Arkansas, I think he can play some. And with Todd Bowles, this could be a kid that he was an Under Armour All-American, 7 sacks, back-to-back seasons, big, long. I think he's 6'6", off of the edge, not as bendy as some of the guys earlier, but we're here in the middle of the second round. So Landon Jackson, edge rusher out of Arkansas, going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Denver Broncos are on the clock here at pick 52. And what did they do in round one? They went with the generational one, they say. Ashton Jeanty, running back out of Boise State, went 20th overall. Field said it was hard to go 19 picks without Jeanty coming off of the board. Top 5 prospect in this class. But as I've continued to say, he plays the deepest position in this draft, which many teams philosophically are not inclined to use a premium pick on. They need a running back. Denver upgrades the running back position, but they also still need help for their young quarterback, Bo Nix, who's going to try to make another playoff run here in 2025. They need a tight end. They released Greg Dulcich. The one that I really like right here, Gunnar Helm and Terrence Ferguson, both still on the board. We're going to take Gunnar Helm, the tight end out of Texas, to pair him up with Sean Payton and Bo Nix. Pittsburgh's on the clock at 53 and a lot of smoke. Aaron Rodgers, Justin Fields, some Kirk Cousins talk coming in to play quarterback. What did they do in round one? They went Jackson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss. So they've got their rookie quarterback of the future here. You can run it with Justin Fields to start the season, let Jackson Dart warm up, get acclimated, but they still have to provide weapons for their young quarterback. I'm not trying to hear anything about Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson. I hope he's a fine player. And what's going to happen with George Pickens after his contract is up? They probably need to get another receiver. And Jack Besh feels like the type of receiver that Mike Tomlin would love and gravitate towards. He got to see him up close and personal in Mobile. Besh over 1,100 yards this season. Physical player, will block, do the dirty work. He feels like a Pittsburgh Steeler type wide receiver. So right here at 53, they go wide receiver Jack Besh out of TCU. Chargers on the clock at 54. And what did the Chargers do per Field Yates in round one? Common pick, common player, common Perry Colston, Loveland, tight end out of Michigan. It's a position of need. We know they need a tight end. They also need a running back. Maybe they bring J.K. Dobbins back, but the running back position is loaded. And right here, the 25th overall player, according to PFF, Omarion Hampton, is still on the board. Not for long. People would love this landing spot. Hampton pairing up with Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh to be the Chargers' new feature back in L.A. The Packers are on the clock at 55, and what did Green Bay do? They went cornerback. Maxwell Harrison out of Kentucky, so they went cornerback, talking to a lot of Packers fans. Cornerback, versatile offensive lineman. That's what they like. You see wide receiver, center, edge, and cornerback positions of need. If we want to go versatile offensive lineman, you've got Essery, who can kick inside, Marcus Imbo, also Wyatt Millam still on the board, Cam Williams. I don't believe he's going to play tackle at the next level, but Ariante Essery, I mean, you go look at the Senior Bowl tape, and as much as people talked about how dominant Mike Green and Shamar Stewart were, Essery held up very well, very well. Ariante held up against those guys very well, stonewalled them multiple times. Can he kick inside the guard? Maybe. He's a tall player. He's a big dude, 6'6", 330 pounds. I saw Mekhi Becton kick in the guard and was phenomenal for Philadelphia. So right here, Ariante Essery out of Minnesota, you are going to Green Bay to help Jordan Love stay upright. The Bills are on the clock at 56. MVP Josh Allen in the building. They got 2 picks in the second round. They went interior defensive lineman Kenneth Grant in the first round. And I listen, Bills fans, linebacker is good. Y'all don't need a linebacker. You need some cornerback help. We address defensive front for you. So let's take a look at the DBs that are still on the board. Kobe Bryant would be my pick. Kobe Bryant would be the player that I chose out of Kansas. Physical player, 6'1", 175 pounds, very good. At the Shrine Bowl here in Frisco, Texas a few weeks ago, and it's a position of need for Buffalo. So let's upgrade the cornerback position. Kobe Bryant out of Kansas. Houston's on the clock at pick 57, and in round one, what did the Texans do? Player that I commonly mock to them. They need a receiver. They went Luther Burden III out of Missouri. You got to protect C.J. Stroud now. You got your wide receiver. D-line is still loaded. Let's go O-tackle and interior O-line. Tate Ratledge, I think he'll come off the board very soon. You got Wyatt Millam, who can also kick inside, and that's what I want to do. That's where I want to go. Wyatt Millam out of West Virginia here at 57 to the Houston Texans. Help keep C.J. Stroud upright, get the ball to Burden, Nico Collins, and whenever Stephon Diggs comes back. Carolina on the clock at pick 58. In round one, what did the Panthers do? We got to scroll way back up on Field Yates' mock. And they took Jalen Walker, who's getting a ton of hype and a ton of steam now that Dane Brugler had him 3rd overall in his big board. 8th overall edge out of Georgia. So they've addressed that position. They still need a defensive back, probably still need some more defensive line help, and need some pass catcher help. We're looking at the D-line right now. TJ Sanders is on the board. I know they went edge. I want to pair somebody up next to Brown. I want to pair somebody up next to Big Derek Brown. TJ Sanders is a really, really good player out of South Carolina, as is Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee. We're going to take TJ Sanders right here for Carolina. Let's continue to invest on the defensive side of the ball. We'll find some receivers for you Panthers fans later on in the draft. I promise you that. Baltimore's on the clock at 59, and what did they do in round one? I can't even remember. Got to scroll down. Let's see what the Ravens did per Field Yates. Oh, Wow, they got a gift here. Malachi Starks, outside of a mock where I saw him going in the second round to the Giants, this is as low as I've seen him in round one. But you're talking about pairing him up with Kyle Hamilton. This would be unfair for Baltimore's defense to get that type of upgrade. So they took the positional value in Malachi Starks. They need a receiver. They need a tackle, and they're saying that they still need an edge rusher. You've got Nick Scorton here available in on that defensive front with Matabuke. I think Scorton would be a nice fit in Baltimore here as a value pick, even though he may not be a traditional edge. Let's just make sure that defensive line and that secondary is solidified. It was a weak point for Baltimore at times. You know, they're going to run back Rashad Bateman. You're going to get Zay Flowers back. You've got Likely. You have Mark Andrews under contract. You've got a good run game. We can invest in the offensive line later. Let's get the 27th ranked player on the board here at 59. Nick Scorton out of A&M going to Baltimore. Just a value pick, BPA on the board. Detroit's on the clock at pick 60. Guard, center, edge rusher, and linebacker. Positions of need. What did they do? Oh, love this pick. Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. Probably going to play on the interior, whether that's center or guard. Dan Campbell gets an upgrade. Keeps that offensive line intact, which helps Jared Goff out and that running game. Let's go edge rusher. Let's go find some pass rush help for the Lions, who may be a little slowed with Aiden Hutchinson. We don't think Z Smith is coming back. So JT Tuimalu from Ohio State, JTT, you are going to be a Detroit Lion, and I think he would be a nice fit with Dan Campbell. Just feels like one of those players that would work well in Detroit. The Commanders are on the clock at 62 as we round out this second round. And what did Field have the Commanders doing? Love this pick of Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State, going to the Commanders, getting Jaden Daniels, another weapon, pairs well with Terry McLaurin. Love it. Now we got to address the offensive front, edge rusher, cornerback. The edge that I would take would probably be Kyle Kennard right here. You got Kyle Kennard on the board, Josiah Stewart, maybe a little bit later. Kyle Kennard is a beast. 10 sacks this year, 7 sacks last year, 23 hurries, 6'5", 254. Yeah, Dan Quinn could work with this. Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina, you are going to the Washington Commanders. At 62, Buffalo with their second round pick. Love what the Bills are able to do this draft. Buffalo went Kenneth Grant in round 1, Kobe Bryant in the top of at pick 56 in round 2, and now they're here on the board. Position of need, wide receiver, D-line, linebacker, and cornerback. Can we just go best player available? Can we go best player available from the wide receiver group? Got A.O. Manor, Xavier Restrepo, Savion Williams, Jaden Higgins, Royals, and Isaiah Bond. Trey Harris is also still on the board for the Buffalo Bills. I have Trey Harris ranked much higher than Sycamore and PFF do, and I know they invested in Keon Coleman last year. He's an outside boundary receiver. You got Khalil Shakir in the slot. Mac Hollins is fine, serviceable, made plays when his name was called, but I think another weapon for Josh Allen, because I don't know how we all really feel about Kincaid. Hopefully he gets it together. But you put another big boundary receiver on the outside opposite Keon Coleman. Let's just load him up with Trey Harris out of Ole Miss right here at 62. Trey Harris, you are a Buffalo Bill. Kansas City is on the clock, and their needs, God, they have changed quite a bit. Let's see what Kansas City did. Per Field, in his mock, they went Donovan Jackson, the tackle guard out of Ohio State, moved out to guard once Simmons moved to tackle once Josh Simmons was injured, but he played guard prior to that. So Kansas City upgrading that offensive front. Is Kelsey coming back? Is he leaving? I don't know. I want to mock a tight end to the Kansas City Chiefs right here, but much like the running back class, you still have Ferguson, Harold Fannin, Jackson Haas, Jake Brenningstool, Luke Lachey, Aronde Gadsden. I can't do it. I've got to go for the defensive front, help out that defensive side of the ball. I've talked about him. I wanted to take him a few picks ago, but Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee, disruptive interior defensive lineman. Let's put him in Kansas City. Give Chris Jones somebody that's explosive next to him. Linebacker is also a position of need for Kansas City, who's losing a few, but Chris Paul versus Jack Kaiser. I think Kaiser would be a great pick. You got Danny Stutzman as well that we can get a little bit later. I want Omar Norman Lott right here for the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's go D-line, Omar Norman Lott or Darius Alexander. Man, these deep. Dayon Walker. Class is deep. We're going Omar Norman Lott here at 63 for the Kansas City Chiefs. And at pick 64, the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Who did they take in round one? Jaheim Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. They just keep retooling, right? And I know that Nakobe Dean suffered the injury towards the end of last season, so they've got to be able to have somebody to play next to Zach Bond, and they better bring him back. Just investing on that defensive side of the ball. Talk to a lot of people in Philadelphia. They still need a viable wide receiver 3. Not that he's taken over for A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, but that's a position of need. You got guard, edge, cornerback. They need another wide receiver. Xavier Restrepo can play that slot role. You've got Xavier Restrepo still on the board here from Miami, the 49th ranked player. He can plug and play in the slot. Powerful small slot receiver, giving Jalen Hurts another target to throw the ball to, keeping defenses honest. So here we go. Xavier Restrepo to the Philadelphia Eagles right here at pick 64. That is the second round of Field Yates' first round mock that we went through and looked at the picks. There were a couple of teams that did not have picks in the second round, so I just want to go back and highlight those teams and those picks that they made. You've got the Los Angeles Rams taking Josh Connerly, the offensive tackle out of Oregon, at 26. And then at 24, the Minnesota Vikings took defensive tackle Derek Harmon out of Oregon. So those were a couple of picks that we didn't get to talk about because those teams did not have second-round picks. We work our way up the board, and we could just really kind of look at it right here. This is not my first round. This is Field Yates' first round, and what we ended up doing was taking those picks from round one, and then we completed a round two. So you had Jahdae Barron, Ezariah Thomas, Donovan Ezeraku, Ben Morrison, and Matthew Golden off of the board with the first 5 picks in the second round. Drake May got an upgrade at tight end with Elijah Arroyo, the tight end from Miami. Travion Henderson goes to the Chicago Bears to help out, play some of that Jahmyr Gibbs role for Ben Johnson. Mason Taylor stays home and goes to New Orleans. Jack Sawyer right back to Chicago, goes to Chicago with his teammate Travion Henderson. Siobhan Revel to the Jets. Talik Williams to the 49ers. Caleb Johnson to the Dallas Cowboys at pick 44. The Colts went Trey Amos. The Falcons went Demetrius Knight. The Cardinals go Jonah Severnaya, the tackle guard out of Arizona. Xavier Watts, the safety from Notre Dame, to the Miami Dolphins. Princely Milan, edge rusher from Ole Miss, goes to the Bengals. Carson Schweschinger, the linebacker from UCLA, goes to the Seattle Seahawks. Landon Jackson to the Bucks. Gunnar Helm, tight end from Texas, goes to Bo Nix's Denver Broncos. Jack Bech goes to Pittsburgh. Omarion Hampton, the fourth running back off of the board, to the Chargers. Ariante Ursary, the tackle out of Minnesota, goes to the Green Bay Packers. Kobe Bryant to Buffalo. Wyatt Millum to Houston. TJ Sanders, defensive line, goes to Carolina. Nick Scorton to Baltimore. JTT goes to the Detroit Lions. Kyle Kennard goes to the Commanders. Trey Harris to the Bills. Omar Norman Lott to the Chiefs. And Xavier Restrepo at 64 to the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, appreciate y'all pulling up, doing something different. I know we want to go a little deeper than round one, and all the top 10, top 15 picks are the damn same. Where's the uniqueness in these mocks? Well, that's what we do. I try to do some different exercises, make this mock draft period fun, engaging, thought-provoking. So if you stuck around to the end and you found this information, one of those things, subscribe to the channel. It's all draft all the time, prospect profiles, different mocks, my mocks, big boards. It's all NFL draft. Hit the thumbs up button. Y'all have a beautiful day, and I'll probably see y'all tomorrow. I'm out. Peace.